Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 9 of the Flyered Up podcast alongside Amadeo Gracia. I am your host, along with Chris Mayer. And just a very better week for the Philadelphia Flyers. They get 2 wins on the board after their 4-game losing streak to really start off the season from their first 2 wins of the season. And it just felt these past 2 wins actually felt pretty good to watch. Flyers actually dominating the opposition, playing a lot better. It really it kind of a little similar to the first 2 games the Flyers played this season, to where they were high energy, always in the forecheck and scoring on the chances that they got. But during that 4-game losing streak, they just came out tired. They look a little dead, not much energy, and they were honestly getting more chances than anything, but they just couldn't bury the puck. And the opposition was scoring on the chances that they were getting. So this is a nice change of pace these past 2 games. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights by a score of 6-2, and last night they beat the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 4-1. And some big stories coming out of those 2 games. The main one I would think is Brian Elliott starts these last 2 games, and he looks pretty fantastic, keeping the Flyers in the games, making some pretty big saves when a little defensive mishaps in our own zone, but he always came up with that clutch save during these games to make sure that the Flyers remained into it, and it allowed our offense to go down the ice and put the puck in the opposition's net. So a little good thing right there, and also some other key plays. Travis Konecny continuing to put points on the board. Oscar Lindblom continuing to put pucks in the back of the net. Also, Michael Raffl continuing his hot start to the season. And also young guys. Misha Vorobyev was called up for the game against the Vegas Golden Knights. He gets a point there. And also the big stud, our big top prospect, UnFarabee, gets his first start against the Vegas Golden Knights. And then last night against the Chicago Blackhawks, gets his first point of the season off of a Kevin Hayes goal. But honestly, he should have had 3 points. But, 2 of those points were taken away because Kevin Hayes was offside. So Kevin Hayes gave him his first point, but also took away his other 2 points of the game. So I'm sure he was laughing about that because honestly, it's a kind of a funny moment, even though they still won the game against Chicago. But you also got deep down in your mind, like, come on, man, like just let me have it. But still, it's nice to see UnFarabee get that first NHL point because he was so snake bitten in the preseason, and also going down to the AHL because you knew he was going to be called up eventually once he got going, and he immediately got going down with the Phantoms, scored in all the games that he was in, and he's earned his spot right now in the NHL, and he's looking really good right now, and he looks like a stud. So, Chris, what are your opinions on the past 2 games from the Philadelphia Flyers?
I thought the Flyers played great in these last few games. They've been very good defensively. They've been moving the puck out of their zone really well. Haven't really let a lot of chances happen. There's been a few. There's definitely been a couple breakdowns, but it's something that happens with every team. I thought the special teams has been great going into Chicago's game. I think they were like 5th in the league on the power play, something around there. And then they scored on the power play against Vegas. So special teams has helped them. I definitely do think, as you said, Elliott has played very well. He's been a rock for the Flyers in these last 2 games. He's definitely outplayed Carter Hart, even though Hart has been, I'd say, sluggish. He definitely hasn't looked like himself, especially in the Edmonton game and in the Dallas game as well. Gave up 4 goals and 16 shots. But I'm really liking that second line that the Flyers have had for a majority of this year, even though they switched it up a little bit in the Western Canada road trip with Couturier, Konecny, and Lindblom. What does Lindblom have, like 5 goals now?
I think he has 5 goals this season as of yesterday.
Yeah.
He's looked really good.
He has looked very well.
And that line just looks like they have a ton of chemistry with each other, and that's like something really good to see.
Yeah, especially connecting Lindblom. I mean, it just shows that they know where each other are. And I think like Couturier, I think that line's great too because Couturier is a very good two-way player, just like Evan Hayes. He's very good defensively. Been more of a defensive player for a majority of his career than really sprouted 2 years ago. And Konecny, who's honestly a proven goal scorer, and Lindblom can really do anything for you. He's pretty solid defensively, and he's definitely a playmaker. He's got a pretty good shot and he can pass the puck very well. So I think that's been one of the highlights. Giroux and Van Riemsdyk got their first goals of the season against the Blackhawks. Hopefully they can continue that. Maybe get the ball rolling for them too. But I've really liked the way the Flyers played in these last 2 games.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And going back to guys like Travis Konechny and Oscar Lindblom, Travis Konechny looks like a completely different player than these past 3 seasons that he's been in the league. In the past 3 seasons, like, he's going to make those rookie mistakes. He's going to turn the puck over in the offensive zone, make a little bit of those mistake plays, those rookie mistakes. But coming into this season after like holding out a little bit on his contract, finally signing that big money, and I feel like he's living up to his contract right now. He's making the smart plays. He's going out there, just putting the puck in the back of the net. It doesn't look like he's making little mistakes out there. And it's clearly evident that this guy is taking his game to the next level. And Travis Konechny is right now, he's looking like he's going to be a stud for years and years to come with the way he's playing right now. And Oscar Lindblom, yeah, I'm not going to say like he's going to be the potential's not as there as like what Travis Konechny or say like a Joel Farabee is, but he's turning himself into a nice little NHL player right there. He does the right things on the ice, and he gets rewarded for it. He plays a really good 200-foot game, and that's what's good about Oscar Lindblom.
And that's very rare in wingers too. You don't really see many wingers are good defensively because wing is not really it's not like a defensive position, more of a center, and obviously defensemen are more reliable on defense. The majority of the time, the wingers play very low just to help out down low, and that's why there's so many point shots that get to the net because the wingers don't cover it. But I mean, honestly, like I feel like Konechny has been very well on his defensive side of the game. He's been great on offense, but as I said, I'm sure I've mentioned this before. Konechny kind of just, last year would just throw it into a random area and, be a turnover or like an icing, something along those lines. And I think now he's been able to pick his head up more. He's had more guys go with him on the rush, and he's been able to get the pass out of the zone. He's definitely been a lot better on defense, so I'm kind of hoping he can continue that in these next few games as well.
I agree with you, and he's utilizing his speed more. He looks a lot faster. Even though he was already a fast player, he looks a lot faster.
He's quicker to pucks now, too.
Yeah. So let's go into the recap of the Vegas Golden Knights game because a lot happened during this game. Just a lot of goals scored by the Flyers right here. So let's go early on into the first period where the Flyers get an early power play. And it's the second unit once again. I feel like the second unit just scoring all the power play goals so far this year. I feel like they have more than the first unit, which is a rare sighting to see that our second unit is actually outperforming the first one. So it's kind of a good sight to see, but it's also like kind of underwhelming. Like, where's the first unit at? Why can't they get going?
At least they're scoring on the power play.
That's at least they're scoring. That's all that matters. So it's a nice little passing play from Shane Gostisbehere to Lindblom to Travis Konechny, who snipes it past Dansk. Dansk, their freaking third string goaltender from the AHL. I think Malcolm Subban was injured coming into this game, so they called up Dansk to start this game. Yeah. After Marc-Andre Fleury shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins, so it's just like, why don't you go with Fleury there? But okay.
I didn't really understand that either. I mean, he was coming off because they played the night before in Pittsburgh, didn't they?
Yeah, he shut out Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So or was that Saturday night or was that Sunday night they played Pittsburgh?
I'm not sure, but all I know is he shut out Pittsburgh, so why not ride the hot goalie right there? But okay, Vegas, thank you for handing us Dansk right there. So Konechny snipes it past him on the power play to make it 1-0 for his fourth goal in the season. And the Flyers really just, I would say, dominate play throughout this first period. They outshoot Vegas by 15-7, and Brian Elliott, when Vegas got their chances, Brian Elliott came up really big. Especially in that second period. When the second period starts, Vegas comes out hot. They're getting all these chances on the net, and Brian Elliott's just coming out making some really, really big saves, which keeps the Flyers at a 1-0 lead, and it allows the Flyers to go down the ice and do their damage when they get the chances. And it is Kevin Hayes around 6 minutes into the second period gets a nice pass from Scott Lawton, who then wraps it around the net to get his second goal of the season to make it a 2-0 Flyers lead. So, and it's also rare when you see wraparounds anymore. And Kevin Hayes, with his long reach, puts it past Dance, you know he's going to want that puck back because that's just not a good goal to allow by your goaltender right there. And it's a 2-0 Flyers lead from there. And not even a minute later, it's a nice pass from Misha Vorobiev, who's playing his first game of the season after being called up from the Phantoms. Gets a nice pass over to Ivan Provorov, who just shoots it from the point. It looks like it goes off of the defenseman of a Vegas player and goes into the net. It was originally credited to Michael Raffl, but then after the game, official review gave it back to Ivan Provorov. So it's his second of the season for a 3-0 Flyers lead. And then going midway to near the end of the second period, the Flyers get another power play. And it's a really great pass from Sean Couturier across crease over to a wide open Matt Niskanen, who blasted past Dansk for a 4-0 Flyers lead. That was just an amazing pass by Couturier right there. And Matt Niskanen, just in Ovechkin's area, just puts it right past Dansk. He had no chance of making that save. And not even a minute later after this goal, it's Oscar Lindblom off of a nice 2-on-1 setup from Michael Raffl, passing back and forth, and it's Lindblom bearing it past Dansk for a 5-0 lead. Just a plethora of goals in this second period. Vegas gets their chances as well, but like I said, Brian Elliott was just coming up huge in this second period, and it allowed us to go down the other end and put these pucks in the net. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on this highly electric second period from the Flyers?
That period was pure domination from the Flyers. They capitalized on all their chances, something we haven't seen in a few games before that. As I said this before, they outshot their opponents very heavily in the the last few games before coming into this game against Vegas. So that big influx of goals that the Flyers got there was very good. So hopefully, I thought the second period was very well. Flyers looked really good in their own zone. They were moving the puck well. The power play helped them. Really nice pass there on Niskanen's goal from Couturier. The fifth goal, beautiful 2-on-1 there. Third goal, that was real nice screen by Lindblom. I don't know how Dance didn't see that. And then that wraparound, as you said, that's really something that your goalie needs to have. Hayes with the long reach, able to get it by him. So I definitely think the Flyers played a really good second period, and really this game was basically over at this point after the second period. It's kind of rare when you see a team come back from 5 goals in the third.
I mean, the Flyers have done that before because, Flyers and their weird comebacks. But that was last season, and this is this season.
Yeah.
But it's funny because after this game, Alain Vigneault said that this second period was actually the worst period that they've played this season. They were just capitalizing on the chances they got. Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting quote coming out of this game. But going into the third period, Vegas does get on the board early off of a power play, and it's a really great passive play by the Golden Knights on this power play. And it's Jonathan Marchessault to getting his second of the season to make it a 5-1 game. And you kind of feel bad because you wanted Elliott to get the shutout because he was playing so good, but he never got rattled from this. And just back and forth play throughout this third period, actually. Flyers getting their chances, Vegas getting their chances, and nothing really going for both teams. And then Vegas, around 7 minutes left in the game, it's Riley Smith getting the goal to make it 5-2. But Michael Raffl seals off the deal late in the third period off of a nice breakaway. He just completely fools Dance, goes backhand, makes it a 6-2 Flyers lead for his second of the season, assisted by Stewart, gets his first point of the season. Good old Stewie getting a point right there. So that's
there we go, Stewie.
Yeah, Stewie. Honestly, the more that as the days pass, I mind less the Stewart signing. I kind of liked what he's bringing to this team.
Yeah, he hasn't played hard. He hasn't played bad. He hasn't played great, but he hasn't played bad for the money he gets.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's doing what he was paid to do. Honestly,
right,
just be that fourth line guy. He's played
and that's what Fletcher brought him in to do.
Yep.
Play the fourth line, give guys like Farabee and all the younger guys, give them. I mean, he's been in the league for 10 years?
I think so.
Yeah, it's kind of a guy, around the same years as Voracek and Giroux and Van Riemsdyk. So really, it's good to have some more veteran presence on their lineup because the Flyers lineup really these last few years have been getting pretty young.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of young guys, Joel Farabee in his first NHL game against the Vegas Golden Knights, he looked pretty good. He was getting his chances throughout the night on that third line with Kevin Hayes and Scott Lawn. There was especially a play in the third period where he was getting wide open in the slot. He was making a little deke move. He got to the slot, and he had the chance. He had the open ice to shoot the puck, and he just missed the net. But he was getting his chances around. He was getting his chances throughout the night. He just couldn't find a way to get the puck on the stick in the right position. But overall, I think he played a really good game for his first performance of the season, and that's something really good, which will then carry over to the games against the Chicago Blackhawks. But overall, this game was a really good showcase by the Flyers, a really good bounce back win off of a 4-game losing streak. This put them to 3-3-1 in the season. Flyers outshot Vegas by a score. Well, outshot Vegas by a total of 37-35. So Vegas started to creep up back in that game with the shot totals, but it was just the Flyers game from there because they scored on the chances that they got. 3 stars of the game were Matt Niskanen, Oscar Lindblom, Michael Raffl, who Raffl got 3 points on the night, which was a very good thing. He got that second goal taken away, it gave it back to Ivan Provorov because he knew that goal wasn't his, and he said in the post-game interview, that's not my goal, that should be Provorov's. So that was a pretty funny thing right there. And even on the post-game show, like the people who put those like little tiny like notes under the players' names after a game, I forget what it specifically said for Raffl, but he says he wants that goal taken away from him because he knew it wasn't his.
It said like give something like give goal or credit goal to Provorov or credit the goal to Provorov, something like that.
Yeah. So and also like whoever's running Flyers Twitter, like, and also doing this thing for NBC Sports Philadelphia is like they need a pay raise because some pretty funny stuff right there. Pretty funny stuff. And it's funny too, during the Chicago game, I said that I commented on one of the Flyers Twitter posts, and they actually liked my post from that. So it's getting some recognition from the Flyers right there. So that's always fun to see.
There you go.
Yeah, it's always fun to see right there. So really nice win by the Flyers. Really can't complain about this game at all. Really nice showing on home ice. But the one problem I do have with the home games is just there's so many patches in the seats. There's so many patches, not that many people going.
That's because they raised the ticket prices so much. I mean, when I was there last weekend against Dallas, there was just a whole section and like the top 3 rows were just empty.
I agree.
And then like it looked like honestly the only reason there were people in them seats and for that game especially was because they gave out that beer stein. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly going to be the same thing for tomorrow night because it's Dollar Dog Night. When the hell do they do Dollar Dog Night? That's like a baseball thing.
It's a rare occasion when they do Dollar Dog Night.
Yeah, like you rarely see that at a hockey game. I think I've maybe seen it once in like a preseason game.
It's just that, like what you said with the ticket prices going up, and I just feel like fans just don't want to go because there hasn't been a good product on the ice for the past few years. So like,
yeah,
I don't blame them for not going, but just like come on, just can you fill the seats up a little bit so I don't see these patches because they're really evident.
Yeah. It's cold up there too. That's one thing I don't like.
But it's been nice because my row has been really empty, so I don't have to get up that much. But it's still a better atmosphere when the Wells Fargo Center is packed. But I'll take an empty row in my section. But like patches throughout the seats, they could be filled. Please, Flyers fans, just go to the damn games.
Yeah,
just please go. So overall, this Vegas Golden Knights game, really good product on the ice from the Flyers right there. Really good game to get off of that 4-game losing skid. And then last night, they played against the Chicago Blackhawks on the road. But we'll get into that after a quick word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
And welcome back to the Flyered Up podcast. So, going into this game against the Chicago Blackhawks, second matchup already against the Chicago team, second out of 2 meetings this season. We beat them in the Czech Republic for the opener of the season, and just overall, the Chicago Blackhawks team, and actually going into this game for the Blackhawks, this is like their, what was it, 7th straight home game since playing in the Czech Republic?
They've had like so many home. I feel like every time I turn the TV, they got a home game on. Or if I like see the highlights on YouTube, they always have home games.
It's just, why does Chicago get so many home games in a row, but the Flyers have they come home once, go on a Western Canada road trip,
Right.
go home, back on the road again. It's just
Right.
like, what's the scheduling right here? Why does Chicago get so many home games in a row?
Yeah.
But that only means they're going to get a long road trip after that. But
right. And then it means that they're going to have more games in hand too. Like I know they have like around 4 or 5 games in hand on the Capitals, who are in first place in our division right now with like 17 or 18 points.
mm-hmm.
So
yeah, but I would say overall this game too, just like the Vegas game, was a good game by the Flyers. Good execution, good energy, good forechecking, and we scored on chances that we got. And the Flyers early on looked like they were dominating play. Brian Elliott once again got the start tonight and making some big saves early on, making some really great saves. And the Flyers actually get the first goal of this game, but what do you know? Well, first, let's describe this goal. It is a nice pass from Joel Farabee to the stick of Kevin Hayes, who redirects it past Robin Lehner for a 1-0 Flyers lead. But what do you know? The Chicago Blackhawks decide to challenge this play for offside. And what do you know? The refs overturn the call. So no goal right there, no point for Joel Farabee, no goal for Kevin Hayes. So it's a 0-0 game. But the Flyers do get the actual first goal of this game later on in this first period, around 7 minutes left. And it's a 2-on-1 with Travis Konechny and Oscar Lindblom back and forth. And Oscar Lindblom puts it top shelf past Robin Lehner for a 1-0 Flyers lead. And I would say overall, this period from the Philadelphia Flyers, really good. They were getting chances on the net. Brian Elliott was making some really good saves when he had to. And shots were pretty even for both teams. Chicago gets 7, the Flyers get 5. And just overall, I wouldn't say back and forth, but I think the Flyers really controlled the pace of this first period. And that was definitely evident going into the second period because the Flyers insanely controlled the pace in this second period. And early on in the second period, not even a minute in, it's off of the stick of Claude Giroux. Sanheim gets it over to Claude Giroux, who redirects it past Robin Lehner top shelf for his first goal of the season. So it's nice to see Claude Giroux get on the board. And also James Van Riemsdyk gets an assist on this play too. So he gets his first point of the season. So it's nice seeing the captain get his first goal. It's nice seeing JVR finally crack the score sheet after so long of not cracking it. So it's really nice to see right there. And just overall, I would say this second period too, just Flyers completely dominating the period. There was not that many chances for Chicago as shot totals. Flyers 13, Chicago 1. And there was only 3 penalties throughout this period, but really no opposition was getting many chances on their power plays. Flyers looked good on the penalty kill. They looked good on the power plays at times, but really couldn't get their chances into the net. But the Flyers really controlled pace throughout that second period. And going into the third period, the Flyers looked a little slow coming out of this, actually. And it's a little sloppy mistake in their own defensive zone, make a little turnover, and it's somehow Brandon Saad is wide open in our own defensive zone with the puck on a breakaway, and he beats Brian Elliott with a nice little deke move. And it's suddenly a 2-1 game. And I would say through this third period, Chicago looked like they controlled play a little bit. They were getting their momentum back, but it's one of those things where you make that type of play, you make that type of mistake, and it comes back to haunt you the rest of the game. And it looked like it was going to happen right there with Chicago looking like they were controlling play throughout that third period. But the Chicago makes a little mistake. It goes to Joel Farabee, and then Scott Lawton, who makes a nice pass up to Kevin Hayes, who gets a little breakaway of his own and just buries it past Robin Lehner to make it a 3-1 Flyers lead. And it's good to see Joel Farabee get his first point right there after his first point earlier in this game getting taken away by Kevin Hayes being offside. So Kevin Hayes kind of repays him a little bit, not being onside and getting a goal right there. And honestly, this was not that long later. Joel Farabee catches off a mistake by Chicago. He gets his own breakaway in the Chicago zone, and he makes a little deke move, stopped first by Lehner, but he buries the rebound. So at this point, it's 4-1 Flyers off of this Farabee first NHL goal, quote unquote. But what do you know? Chicago decides to challenge it again for offside. And on the replay, Kevin Hayes was offside by a damn mile. Offside by a damn mile. and his goal gets taken away. This kid cannot catch a break.
Oh man, that's Joel UnFarabee.
Joel UnFarabee, but you gotta hand it that goal, that non-goal as of now, it looked really good, and just the skill on this kid, the IQ, the way his workload, just the way he looks on the ice, his hands. This kid looks legit.
He
He
reminds
looks,
me of a Jeff Skinner.
yeah, this kid looks very, very legit, and that's something that honestly, I was talking to this with my buddy like a couple days ago, and like just with the city of Philadelphia in general, I would say it's mostly like hearing about this with like say teams like the Phillies, teams like the Flyers, where you hear about the prospects and how good they can be, but sometimes when those prospects come up, they don't. I would say they don't light the lamp as early as you
Don't
would hope
produce as
to,
much.
yeah, or produce as much as early as you would hope to. But Joel Farabee looks legit. He looks like he could possibly be that guy, and he's showing it early on with the way that he's playing. And this could have been a 3-point night for him, but luck wasn't on his side as two of his points got taken away thanks to Kevin Hayes being offside. But I'm not going to blame that much. We still won this game, but it would have been nice for Joel Farabee to get those 3 points. It just
Yeah,
would have been nice.
definitely. And like I think Farabee's played very well. I mean, the game against Vegas had around 15 minutes of ice time. Or like, I think he had like 3 shots on goal, something like that. Alain Vigneault raved about his defensive play, said he was very well in the defensive zone, and then he really continued that into Chicago. Played very well, as you said. He could have had, that 3-point night, first NHL goal. He did get out of it with his first NHL point. He would have had a goal and 2 assists if none of them were offside, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that would have been a pretty nice night, but I'm sure he was happy with the first point just to get that out of the way and then just to go for the goal. But honestly, I've really liked that call out that they did. That definitely did spark the offense. I think that's let Kevin Hayes play a little bit better as well, as he's had 2 goals in 2 games here, and it's definitely really helped the Flyers as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, he would have had 2 assists on 2 Kevin Hayes goals, and he would have had the goal from himself. But Kevin Hayes just decided not to get offside or onside. So they had a little fun with that in the locker room in the interviews. So there's no hate. It's all love there. No hate. Kevin Hayes and Joel Farabee, they look like they have some chemistry going on with each other. So that looks really nice. But so going into near the end of the third period, around like 5 to 4 minutes left, JVR actually cashes in off of a mistake. He takes the puck off of a Chicago defender, and he gets his own little mini breakaway. Gets a little nice deke move right there, just fools Robert Lehner, and just puts it by him to make it a 4-1 Flyers lead. It's good to see JVR get his first goal of the season, so he gets 2 points on the night. And that seals the deal right there for the Philadelphia Flyers as they beat the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 4-1. And also just going back to guys like Brian Elliott kept the Flyers in this game when Chicago got the little bit of momentum right there. He was making some huge saves. He stopped 23 out of 24. Really had no chance on the side breakaway because he just fooled him right there. Elliott's not going to stop every single thing, but he made those saves when they mattered. And especially not after seeing so few shots in that second period from 1 to going into the third period where Chicago had 16. That's bouncing back from not seeing that much in the second period. So Brian Elliott just playing really good right there. And the 3 starts of the night from this game, Brian Elliott was your 3rd star, Kevin Hayes was your 2nd, and Claude Giroux was your 1st star. But maybe Joel Farabee could have been a star of the game if he had those 3 points.
Maybe.
Thank you, Kevin Hayes.
He probably would have had that. He probably would have had that 1st star of the night as well.
Yeah, definitely. But the hockey gods were not on his side. But
hey, it happens. It's all part of the game.
It does happen, but it's just like why? Why couldn't he catch a break?
See, I would be more pissed off as if they lost the game and it was something that maybe like that Farabee or that Hayes goal that was offside to make it 1-0 in the first.
Mm-hmm.
If that was an overtime, I would have been so mad.
I agree.
And then if that happened again, I would have been even more mad. And then say they lost in a shootout, the thing we all love.
Oh,
I would have been steaming. But I was just happy that they won the game because even though Farabee hasn't cashed in on any of his chances, even though he has played very well, he's really looking like that he's not he looks like he's played in the NHL for 4 or 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
He's fitting in with the guys right now. He's playing very well.
Looks very legit. That's what I'm gonna say right now. This kid looks legit, and it's just a good sign to see right now that a young guy is actually coming up and looking really good right now. I'm not knocking any of the other young guys, but like we have guys that are young on this team that are good. Travis Konecny is good. Nolan
Oscar
Patrick.
Lindblom.
Yeah, Oscar Lindblom's good. Nolan Patrick is a good player. Just sadly, he's just injury prone. It's hard.
He's just battled injuries the first few years of his career. He's missed all 3 training camps.
Mm-hmm. And now Shane Gostisbehere, when he was first called up, he lit up the lamp, but now he's finding his inconsistencies. But right now, I think Joel Farabee is looking into becoming a stud in his first season in the NHL. So hopefully, I'm not jinxing anything right there, but I really believe that Joel Farabee is a stud right now and he has a lot of potential to reach. And I believe he's going to reach that really high potential, which is something really good to see. So the Flyers have an interesting schedule coming up this next week. Basically, they play tomorrow against the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7 p.m. And like Chris said earlier, it's going to be a dollar dog night at the Wells Fargo Center, something that you don't see that often. The Flyers really do those kinds of promotions. And then they play again the very next night on Sunday against the New York Islanders at Nassau Coliseum. And then the following Tuesday, the 29th of October, they'll play the Pittsburgh Penguins at 7 p.m. in Pittsburgh. And then go into November, the first day on Friday, November 1st, they head to New Jersey to play the Devils at 7 p.m. And to wrap up that week, they play the Toronto Maple Leafs at home at a 7 p.m. start time. So the wrapping up this October schedule, the NHL just loves to make the Flyers go on the road. The Flyers will play their final home game tomorrow against the Columbus Blue Jackets in the month of October, and then immediately go on another 3-game road trip, which is just like we haven't consistently seen this team at home. It's always, they play 1 game at home and then go 3 games on the road. A good 2-game home stretch, and then you're back on the road. It's just like there's no consistency of us playing at home.
Yeah, well, thankfully it's around the East. It's not like they have to travel all the way to like Czech Republic again. I'm just happy that they're able to at least be able to get some sort of rest, maybe play a little bit better. Their bodies won't be as sluggish and real laggy. Hopefully they can definitely continue the play that they've had in these last few games. And then tomorrow night's game at home, Columbus, Columbus has played pretty well in these few games, even though a lot of people expected them to be at the complete basement of our division.
Columbus, the only people that, even though they lost their goaltender, they lost Bobrovsky. Yeah, that's a big loss, and they lost Panarin, and they lost Matt Duchene. But they still have a good team there. Their defensive core is basically the same. So
that whole offensive core is still there as well.
Yeah. Besides like subtracting Panarin, their whole core is still there. It's just like minus like the fewer bigger names that were on that team. And like I know, is it Corposalo? I'm assuming is their starter.
Yeah, as of now, he's their starter. I don't even know who their backup is. I haven't really been.
I think it's someone from Cleveland. I know that.
Yeah, it definitely is. They had to call someone up, or someone probably made it out of camp.
Or true, maybe one of their prospect goaltenders made it out of camp, because I know there was like one prospect goaltender. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I know that they're like he could possibly like make a chance to make the team this season. But it's like their whole defense. They're still a good team. I know people were like putting at bottom in the Metro standings just because Bobrovsky was not there. So yeah, losing that kind of goaltender, it's big. But if you have a really good defensive core in front of a decent to good goaltender, it's still gonna be good.
Yeah. Of now, they have Korpisalo and Merzlikins.
Merzlikins. That's a name that I was never gonna think off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think he played a few games. I remember watching on NHL Network. I know he played a game against Pittsburgh. I don't recall many of his other starts, but I know that was one of the games he played.
Well, it's always the Columbus these past few seasons. Even though Bobrovsky was on the team, they have given us a lot of trouble. Especially a guy like Cam Atkinson. He loves to score against the Philadelphia Flyers, as do a lot of other players in this league. For some reason, Atkinson just likes scoring against us. No idea why. I remember his hat trick last season in the game where Carter Hart did look really good, but Columbus still beat us because Bobrovsky was in the net. But maybe the Flyers won't struggle as much because there's no Sergei Bobrovsky on the Columbus Blue Jackets, so who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And I think tomorrow is also the Halloween game because the Flyers don't play at home
Yeah, it
on
is.
Halloween.
Yeah, it's a Halloween game, Dollar Dog Night.
Yeah, so there's gonna be like a nice little like both intermissions are gonna do like a costume competition or something like that for kids and for the adults. So I'm gonna imagine see how many gritties are gonna be there, and that'll be interesting.
Come on, why don't you dress up?
No,
Come on, why not?
no, I don't want to do that. I'll wear my gritty headband, and that's how far I'll go. I'm not gonna wear an actual costume.
You're no fun.
I don't like dressing up. Okay, don't judge me. I'll wear my gritty headband, but that's as far as I'll go.
Come on. I wear a friggin' construction helmet to every game. Okay?
That's you. That's
Yeah. Come on, man.
I'm different. I don't like dressing up. I just like going in casual gear. I like wear my Flyers jersey. Possibly
See, when I go to games, I
depending on
don't
the weather.
give a rat's ass what anyone thinks about me. I'm in my own little zone. It's like I'm sitting there in my seat with a big glass box around me and no one can see anything. And I'm just in my own zone watching the game. I couldn't care less about what anyone thinks.
Well, I don't know. I don't care what anybody people think about me either. I just don't like wearing costumes. Or I don't feel like I need to dress up going to a hockey game because it's just too much work to do that beforehand. But
It's not that much work.
to me, it's a lot of work, and I'm too lazy to put the work in. So, but it's gonna be interesting to see how many gritties are there, what other creative ideas. There definitely is gonna be a guy that's dressed up in a Penguin shirt that somehow says Crosby sucks on it because typical Flyers fan that'll do that. So,
when really he doesn't suck, but we don't like him maybe, but he doesn't suck.
Yeah. So it'll be a fun nighttime tomorrow. It's also like Temple, I think, plays tomorrow too at the Link at the same exact time as the Flyers game. So it's gonna be a crazy night down at the sports complex. I know Temple has a big game against UCF, but this is a Flyers podcast. Why the hell am I talking about Temple? Because I go there. That's why. That's a whole nother story and a half that I don't feel like talking about with Temple right now. But what are you gonna do? But like we both said, this week for the Flyers has been really good. And a lot of players have been standing out. Brian Elliott's been standing out. Players like Travis Konechny, Lindblom, Joel Farabee standing out. Claude Giroux, it's nice to see him finally get his first goal of the season. JVR, finally, it's good to finally see him get his first goal and points, actually. And honestly, defensemen who have stood out, I would say Provorov and Matt Niskanen have looked really good as a pairing. They have looked really good.
I've liked what Justin Braun's done on the defensive side of the puck as well. He's been very physical in his own zone.
I completely agree. And Braun being one of those stay-at-home defensemen during a game when you don't hear his name at all, he's having a good night.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the only play that I can remember Braun maybe being in a bad spot was maybe the McDavid goal. And that is to an extent.
Yeah, it's Connor McDavid. He's going to beat anyone.
Exactly. And, people were crying and complaining on Flyers Twitter about, oh, why wasn't Braun on that? Like, what do you want him to do? There's really not much else he can do.
Let's not talk about Flyers Twitter right now.
Oh, my God. Tried to tie up his stick and everything. This team could win the Stanley Cup, and there's probably still something that we could hear that's like, oh, that someone doesn't like.
The freaking people that are talking about trading Giroux this week, no thanks.
Oh,
I don't want to talk about that because it makes me mad. And it's been a happy week for the Flyers, so I don't want to kill the mood with
Right.
Flyers Twitter because it's a freaking cancer.
I cannot get as annoyed as I was last episode as all of Flyers Twitter and all the social media comments. I can't do it again. I can't.
Yeah. Even though I have a bad habit of reading the comments, I don't want to talk about it because it's been a good week for Flyers hockey, and I don't want to kill the mood.
I can't.
Yeah, I just can't do it. So to wrap up this podcast, the Flyers get some two really good wins against Vegas and against the Chicago Blackhawks, bouncing off of that 4-game losing streak. Get a nice stretch going right here. Hopefully they can continue to stretch against teams like Columbus, like the Islanders, and like the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's going to be some fun hockey. Get some 3 Metro Division rivals coming up with Columbus, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders, also the Devils, at the end of the next week. So it's going to be some fun Metro Division matchups coming up in the upcoming week for the Philadelphia Flyers. Hopefully some fun hockey. Hopefully the Flyers can get a few wins right here. Hopefully Carter Hart can bounce back after his few sluggish outings. not sure right now if we're going to see him on Saturday or if we're going to see him on Sunday against the Islanders. Right now, it's not fully confirmed yet. We're probably going to find that out until tomorrow afternoon. But some fun hockey coming down the road, and excited for it. So, Chris, what are your last few words before we wrap up this podcast?
Flyers have played well these last few games. Hopefully they can continue it up against the Blue Jackets and then the Islanders on Sunday night, and then hopefully into Pittsburgh. I honestly, if there's anything that I would think is, I would start Elliott tomorrow against Columbus and then give Hart the game against the Islanders. Whoever plays better out of the two, I'd say start them in Pittsburgh.
Very interesting thing right there. But yeah, I do like what Alain Vigneault is doing right now. He's riding the hot goaltender right now with Brian Elliott. But, it's going to be Carter Hart's net. And you're going to experience that. He's only 21. You're going to experience the little shakes in his game. It's going to happen. So, and it's going to happen with Carter Hart. But he's the future of this net, and Brian Elliott, with his injury history, he's not going to be in a long stretch of games unless it's like absolutely necessary, or if he's like literally playing off of his head like he's doing right now. So to wrap up this podcast, Flyers have played really well. A very exciting week of hockey coming up ahead, and both of us will be right here once those games are done and over with to recap those for you guys. It's going to be a fun week of hockey. We're excited for it. Some nice Metro Division matchups. So, without further ado, to wrap up this podcast, I'm Amadeo Gracia. He is Chris Mayer. And thank you for listening to the 9th episode of the Flyer Up Podcast, and we will see you in the next episode.